Today we've got more canal being dug out at Lichfield. The Waterway Recovery groups are here. It's going to be epic. So today we are back on the Lichfield Canal. You can see the big pipe here. This is a little bit different to my normal videos as I'm working the other way. We're starting here at Gallows Wharf, just behind me here, and we're going to work our way down to the lock and see what's happening down there. Now the reason we're starting here is there's so much happening on this site because the Waterway Recovery groups are here for 2 weeks. That's 14 days of solid work by about 15 people every day. Now this canal probably has, the work parties here are probably 2 groups a week of about 5 or so people. So you can see how much work is going to be done here. Now they are down here as well as some Duke of Edinburghs and stuff to help with this project, this 2-week project. And they just need to make sure they've got enough work to keep the workies going because they like the work, as we know. Now we're here where they're laying a concrete base like this one behind me, and this is done as a concrete base because it gives a good working area. Clay, you can't really put the clay down early because it will crack, and also if you just leave it as a mud, it is a struggle to work on. This does have quite a solid base anyway. This isn't that bad, but as you go through it's not always the way. So at the moment you can see on this side it's a bit flooded, and the reason for that is we've had a bit of rain over a dry period, and this is basically a pond now because the big pipe here you can see goes across here to the head wall up there. Now this is blocking this from draining out, so they'll have to pump that as they go, and it is just, like I say, one pond. Now this is going to progress all the way down. They're supporting the wall under here. There was a bit of an issue, you can see where that steps out a little bit. There's a bit of issue with support here, but also coming around to here on this side, this is where the work's going to be happening by the WRG groups. This whole wall has to be supported underneath, and what they're doing is they're digging right down now. This is a new canal base level, and they're going to dig out here, shutter in, and create a concrete section underneath here and up onto the wall to just below water level, which is probably, water level's probably about here, so the concrete's going to come to sort of a bit lower down here. And that just supports that wall. Now it's going to be sort of much lower in this canal bed.
So I'm Paul Brettle, the construction manager for Lichfield and Hatherton Canals Restoration Trust. What we're doing here at Gallows Reach is to underpin the foundations of this wall. This is an old original canal wall, but we need the canal here to be deeper because it's narrower than it was originally. So we're having to put a reinforced concrete retaining wall along here with an L-shaped base to support the wall and to seal the canal against water ingress.
As you can see as we go through here, they've left sections in, so you kind of have to leave a little bit of a pier to support it. So this wall's not going anywhere, but they need to get rid of that risk. So instead of having to dig all this out in one go and then leave that literally floating, they're leaving bits in here which are good for support, and they'll do a section and they'll leave a gap, and then they'll do another section and leave a gap all the way down through, and this goes all the way down to the lift bridge, which we'll walk to. And then once those sections are set, they can do the middle bit, and you're always supporting that wall, then leaving the soil underneath to hold it up. Now the big pipe can't come out until all of this section's done, and then they've got to figure out how they work it as they go on through. So you can see it goes into the wall here, and they built this head wall, and all this wall is now finished, by the way, across the top here. This middle section comes out, and this will then be filled, and then going through here they will carry on down through. This will be piling next, and that big pipe in that section stays in behind. And as we come up through here past the digger, you'll see that this wall is steep. It's almost a sheer drop from the path they've created there. So there's 22 metres of piling to go in here then, which is going to take you roughly up to where that dumper truck is there. This allows for the full width of canal here while still supporting that bank up there. And then once we get past this digger, there will be a sloped bank. So a lot of what's being dug out will be used to create this sloped bank. They will then use something like a bento mat type thing like they did at Darnford Moors as a seal on that. They haven't quite decided how they're sealing that yet. It probably won't be a traditional clay. So then that's it for the piles. There will be some sort of brickwork walls and stuff, and that'll happen at head walls and near the bridges and stuff. And our next head wall is just here. So you can see the big pipe starts to rear out of the bank here again. Coming from that corner there, the big pipe is just in the bottom here. You can see it there, look. There's going to be a head wall, and then that's going to go into another bank there, step it back almost. That pipe then will be removed from here. What you've got here is a manhole across here which they need to get rid of. So they're going to have to do this in sections, much like what they've done back there where they're building the bases around the pipe. They're going to have to do the same here as well. So that big pipe, as it rears its head all the way through here, is an absolute nightmare. So you can see the concrete in the canal bed where I was just stood then. That is where the manhole is roughly, and then the pipe then goes back across in a straight line over there. So what you're then going to have, once this sloped bank is done here, in this small section, there'll be another head wall, kind of where these piles of soil are here. And that will hide the pipe again for another section of the canal. And then carrying on the journey up this canal, and we're not very far away from where we just were, there is a lift bridge going in. Now the lift bridge has been something I've spoken about quite a bit over the years. It wasn't an original bridge, an estate has been built behind us over here, so it's a new footpath going across. Now they have to build a lift bridge here because there isn't space to put a traditional sort of humpback bridge in, or there's not enough space for a swing bridge. So the bridge is built, it's ready to go, it's all fabricated, it's sat in a warehouse waiting to go. And right here we have the concrete pads that have been put in. Now this was all piled down. So this pad has about half a dozen piles driven down into this side and just a few on this side. Now the bridge is going to lift up where the van is now. The bridge is going to lift up like that. So this needs a lot more support, and you can see they're currently doing the base for the ramp and stuff here. So that's all got rebar in ready to go. There's all the shuttering done, and all they need to do really there now is pour the concrete, and that will tie these two bases together as well. And then on the other side, which is going to be the landing platform, it's just a much smaller setup here. And again, a small shuttering in place to pour in the top there to create that landing base, and that footpath can then be rebuilt through there. So hopefully this bridge will go in after this work's done. It was meant to be in by now, but there was a slight delay on the formwork and that happened here. And what they didn't want to do was put it in, the concrete takes a little bit of time to set, so what they didn't want to do was put it in when this was happening, because it's now the time to do it. So they're going to wait for this 2 weeks to be over, and then the bridge is going to go in. So hopefully we'll see that quite soon. We won't see it on the next video, but maybe after. And then we come to the camp. Now, as you can see, it's like a production line here. They are doing the rebar cages for it. But let's talk to a couple of people from Waterway Recovery groups and see what this is all about.
Hi, I'm Jordan. I'm here at the Waterway Recovery group. I'm a volunteer. Done this for 9 years, I believe. This site, we're currently building a retaining wall to stop the brickwork further down site, which I'm sure Stephen's shown you or will show you. It's also there to stop any backwash going through. So behind me there's cages being built for the concrete. There's formwork being built to contain the concrete. We've just been starting our factory line for the first day, so it's all been a bit hectic, figuring it all out. But we're getting into a rhythm now, and we should be getting quicker than anyone else can work down at the bottom.
Hi, my name's Jack. I've been volunteering with the Waterway Recovery group for about 4 years now. I used to do some stuff with the National Trust, and they stopped doing as many working holidays, so when I found this, it was just a really good option for something else. Currently we've been making some rebar cages for some concrete we're going to pour. It's really good fun, and it always looks good at the end of the week when we get something together. If it's something you might be interested in, if you search up Waterway Recovery Group or the Inland Waterway Association Working Holidays, have a look on the website. You can sign up there. Come and join us on the camp.
We're really grateful for them to coming down. They're down here for 2 weeks, and they're really going to push this work forward and also transfer some skills from them to some of our guys, which is really going to be helpful going forward. Part of the team, we've got two young people doing their Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award. They're doing this for their volunteering section of the award. So hopefully they'll get a huge amount out of this process and go away with some good skills.
So huge thank you to the Worgies for coming down here and helping. They've given up their own time as well as paying for the accommodation for this week as well. So it's fantastic that they're here supporting all these canal restorations, not just here, but all over the country. Please do look in the description where you'll see a link for Waterway Recovery Groups and the IWA, and you can see if you can help out. So we're walking now down to the lock. That then goes into the old lock 24. which we're not going to go all the way through, but I will stop at the top and just have a look to see how the wall's progressing. This kind of has to stop now. They can only build the wall up ahead because they can't bring any further until the road bridge is built. The next bit of land is for a compound for the road bridge being built. So let's jump to the bridge now and see what's happening now. So that road bridge goes in behind me here, and I know in a couple of weeks they're going to start getting services through here. So there's going to be a big trench dug down here below the canal base level to feed the site just over there. Now that site is for the houses, which is actually paying for the bridge. So Persimmon are paying for that bridge, and it's being built by the council. So it's all a little bit out of the hands of the Lichfield and Hatherton Canal Trust. They aren't building themselves. I've heard lots of dates about when it's going to happen. I'm not really going to put them up because they vary quite a bit, but hopefully it'll be done within the next sort of 6 months or so. And then down into the Digout and the old Lock 24, like I said, we'll stop here. We're going just on the scaffolding here and have a look, and then we won't go any further. So a lot of water in here, as we saw last time, thanks to the Lichfield Falls down here. That's the other end of the big pipe and is draining water out into the section. Now, as we know, that big pipe is going to be excellent for filling the canal eventually, but at the moment it's a bit of a nightmare having it there. So what they're doing at the moment is building these walls in place and supporting. Now, this is a bit of a temporary wall here. This wall will carry on through, but they can't dig out any further out of here, like I said, because of that bridge. So at the moment they've got beyond water level. You can see they've used a concrete block in the lower section. Water level is going to be where the red bit is, roughly, the proper brick, and then you've got Staffordshire Blue stood up, which will be kind of water level and just above water level. Now, this section here is to hide the supporting sections here of the gabion baskets, which are above. So this wall needs to be built up to sort of this height to go above there. And I imagine they'll have like a soil topping or something in there where they'll be able to plant up. This goes all the way down through here, and you can see they're making excellent progress on this all the way through. Some of it's kind of about half high, I would say, and then lots to be built here. I think you can see the final height here on this end where they've sort of done that first sort of section of wall in there. People have mentioned about this being not supported enough. There's not enough rebar in here. What you have to understand about this wall here is the support for this is already in place here. So when all this was built, it was built with plenty of support, adequate support below. All of this section is doing is literally holding the wall up and backfilling it. It's nothing structural as such. So once that bridge is built in, say, 6 months, then they can do the lock, and then this section really could be filled. It's not going to stop anything. They still use a yard down there, but whether they need that once all this is done, I don't know. So fingers crossed we might see this canal in water, this section, in about a year or so. But in 18 months to 2 years, we're going to see everything from here all the way through up to the London Road Bridge where I started the video, in water. So great progress as always by the Trust, and lots to come up ahead. So I'm going to be back here in 2 weeks from today to see the progress of the WRG groups. 2 weeks of them with about 15 people a day. It's going to be epic. So do keep an eye out on the channel, and I'll see you soon. Have a great day.